What's on YouTube? It's PTT. Welcome back to another Destiny 2 video. Today, Guardians, we are talking about Countdown. This is the new Destiny 2 game mode. In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about some tips and hints to help you be a little bit more successful in the game mode. Now, obviously, I am no PvP god, but I do have a bit of a strategic head for some of these things. So, you know, I've put together a list of hints and tips from myself and things that I've learned from people that I've had in chat over the beta streams and things like that. I wanted to put them all together in one video for you guys, you know, to try and help some of you that are maybe like me, you know, your non-PvP gods, your kind of casuals, actually do a little bit better in the game mode. So, without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. The first and biggest tip that I can give you guys for the Countdown game mode is teamwork and team communication. This means, guys, if wherever possible, go in as a team of 4. If you go in as a team of 3 and you have a solo player, it's not as bad, but definitely try to avoid going in solo. It is one of them game modes where, especially if you come up against another team where they're actually teamed up and communicating, you will pretty much get your butt whooped. You know, I've personally found through the beta that it is very sweaty. It is very much your kind of pro players in there. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It does help you get better at PvP. I found that towards the end of the beta, I was definitely doing a lot better in the game mode than when it first came out. But yeah, teamwork and communication has to be the #1 top tip. Don't expect to go in there solo if you're not a PvP god and do well. Next then, something else I've kind of found out isn't just a thing for Countdown, it is general PvP, and that is team shooting, okay? Team shooting is going to be my #2 tip, okay? If you're going 2-on-1, you team shoot that Guardian, you know? If there's 2-on-2, you pick a target, you call it out. Again, this comes back to the teamwork and team communication. You go, right, we're going to focus this guy and then focus that guy. You team shoot things, guys, you are going to kill them an awful lot quicker. I lose count of the amount of times that I have been team shotted over the beta. You know, it really is a valuable tool in your disposal for PvP. Now it's 4v4. You know, run in twos. I would say, you know, split your fire team into 2 teams of 2, run it as 2 teams of 2, and team shoot everything you see. #3 then, map knowledge, okay? If you didn't realise, guys, it is pretty clear to me, I'm a former Call of Duty player, there is a lot of Activision and Call of Duty put into the Countdown map that we played in the beta. You know, it's your typical 3-lane map with a left, middle and right, with a few cut-throughs and choke points, you know, at various points of the maps. If you guys have played the map, you will know exactly what I mean. There are a few stairwells that lead from the left and right-hand side into the middle lane, and vice versa. So, you know, knowing where you are on the map, knowing where to back out of certain firefights into other areas is a very key point of any kind of strategical game. You know, if you don't know where you're going and you don't know where your lanes of sight are and things like that, then you can very quickly find yourself getting gunned down. Something I did an awful lot in the first few games was not knowing where the lines of sight were, and I'd run around the corner and bang, that was it. I was getting team shotted, which obviously was our second point. So yeah, definitely, guys, learn the map, learn where you're going to be, learn where you want to go, learn how to flank other people. You know, if your team are engaging enemies, know where you are on the map and know that you can kind of, you know, drop down to the middle route over the doorway and be flanking them and shooting them from behind. Again, then your map knowledge, your teamwork, your communication and your team shooting all comes into play. Next then, we are going to say pick your fights and know when to back off. That is very, very important, okay? Knowing what fights to actually get involved in and what ones to instantly back out of can very quickly mean the difference between, you know, successfully winning your gunfight and abysmally losing your gunfight, as I have found out on many occasions. You know, 2v1s in these kind of modes are not good. 4v1s definitely aren't good, especially when the other team are communicating and they're team shooting. They all put a shot on you. You're kind of insta-dead as soon as you see them. So, you know, there's no shame, guys, in backing out of fights and baiting enemy towards you, and then you get a tricky grenade off, or, you know, the rest of your team are waiting around the corner for them, and you gun them down that way. I think it is a very useful tip. I definitely think it's something that we're going to see a lot of in the countdown game mode. Next up, don't waste revives at the end of a round. So if you didn't know, guys, there is an elimination style revive system put into countdown, and you can only revive players, or you can only have a certain amount of revives on your team per all the games. So if you got teammates dead but you win the round, don't go and waste a revive getting a teammate up at the end of the round, because it's not going to be very useful. It wastes a revive, and you never know, in the next round you might need that revive and not have it because you got a teammate up needlessly at the end of the previous round. Next then, know where the power ammo drops and when. Okay, we know how long the timers are from when you first spawn in for power ammo. Know exactly where they spawn. Know the line of sight to the power ammo. You don't want to be going and running to the power ammo in the scope of a waiting guardian just waiting to shoot you in the back while you load your fusion rifle. Again, a very good point, something I didn't think of. This one came up from somebody in chat when we were talking about, tips and hints and things like that to get better at PvP, and I think it's a very valuable point. Next then, use your abilities, okay? Things like the Titan Shield are very good to block off certain areas of approach. You can block entire doorways. If the enemy do run through the shield, they are going to take a considerable amount of damage. If you team these up as well with, say, the Warlock's Healing Rift or the Warlock's Damage Rift, these can be very nice. They can give you very good protection from enemy fire. They can give you, a lot better healing abilities. They can give you a lot better damage output compared to the other team. So yeah, make sure you're using these abilities in the correct way, guys. Don't go, just banging it up and then running away from it, leaving it, right in the spawn, because that is pretty useless. Next then, all-round defense. Make sure your team are close enough to assist each other, but covering multiple lanes of approach. Now, this isn't just if you're defending, this is also if you are attacking. If you get to an area and you get to plant the bomb, spread your team out accordingly, okay? Let's look at the countdown map we did have in the beta. Let's say that we are the attackers, so we've got to plant the bombs. We are obviously starting on the lower left hand side of the map, and we're going to go and plant the bomb at the top right hand side of the map. Get in, get the bomb loaded, get it ticking down, and then make sure you split your fire team up, but not too much, okay? Make sure that you're close enough that you can help each other when the enemy make their move and they pick a lane to come up. What we found was very useful. If you use the top room, then you can have one person kind of hanging out on the right hand side looking down towards the other bomb. You can have one teammate kind of looking down towards where the power ammo is on the middle stairs, and one person covering the route you came up from your spawn, just to make sure they don't try and flank you. The fourth player is kind of freely running between the lot of them, and it is their job to be the first one to whatever side is needed when the enemy attackers decide to come to you. If the roaming fourth person jumping between the lot is needed on the right hand side, they should be the first one there, followed up by the other team members. But it's also important to know those other team members should still keep an eye on the routes they were checking out to make sure there's not a lone guardian coming up to try and flank you with a super or power ammo or anything like that. Next then, select the right weapons. This is something I did not do. I liked scout rifles in Destiny 1 for PvP and PvE. I thought that I could take my does not compute into competitive PvP and do well with it. Well, I was surprised when it didn't work well. At the moment, or at least through the beta, the hand cannons, the auto rifles, pulse rifles, they were exceptionally good. You do want to make sure if you're going into this kind of game mode that you take the correct arsenal with you. A close to medium range weapon and a medium to longer range weapon is always going to be handy. Next then, have a mixed team. It's pretty much pointless, guys, running 4 Sentinel Titans. Even if you're all running a Titan, you can split it up. You can have 2 Sentinels, you can have 2 Strikers, you can all run different ability trees and things like that. It really just doesn't add up when you're all running exactly the same. You get no kind of playability with it. You kind of stuck to one route. You all have to play the same to make those subclasses work. If you're spread out either over different classes or with different skill trees and supers, if you are the same character, you at least have some kind of maneuverability in what you can do. Next then, cover orbs so they can't get revives. you know, pretty much like you do currently in Trials of Osiris, guys. If you get a kill, you watch the orb. You don't just leave the orb and go running off down the street to try and get the next kill, you know. The bottom line is, if you are killing Guardians and you get one of their team down, you're now in a 4-on-3 situation. You definitely don't want to waste that advantage by letting them get the revive. So cover that revive when they come in. Again, your team shooting and thing comes into play. You get the second one down. You're now in a 4-on-2 situation. Again, you know, that some of this is probably common sense, guys, but I just thought I would put it out there for you. Finally then, know when to push and know when not to. Again, we kind of covered this earlier a little bit when I said pick your fights and know when to back off. But, you know, knowing when to push forward is as equally important as knowing when to back off. If you're in a one-on-one situation and you know that you've already put a good few shots on that Guardian and they are weak, you do want to push them and try to get that kill before they get their health and shield back up. But at the same point, you kind of want to know when to back off. Like, if you're one shot and, you know, the other enemy is at full health, it is pretty pointless trying to push them, because the probability of you actually getting killed and losing that gunfight is incredibly high. So yeah, you know, there's no shame in it. I said it earlier, guys, knowing when to back out of a fight, but at the same point, equally knowing when you should push and when it's safe to do so is always a good idea as well. And again, you know, all of these work well when you use them together. So knowing when to push, again, if you do it with a teammate, you're using the communication of the team, you are team shooting and things like that, you're more likely to win the gunfight. Then you leave one of your team members with the orb while someone else kind of checks the area around you. All of these things, like I said, guys, I'm no PvP god, but all of these things are hints and tips that I have picked up over the beta weekend. They considerably helped my game towards the end of the beta. I started to enjoy it a lot more. I started to get kills. I started to get, you know, defuses and plants and things like that. And I really started to enjoy the game mode a lot more. And again, I'm sure, you know, your top tier players will have videos out eventually, so make sure to stay tuned on their channels. I'm sure, you know, someone will put together a sweaty guide on how to be sweaty and destroy everything in Countdown. But that's not going to be me. What I can hopefully do, though, is help some of the more mediocre PvP guys like myself do a little bit better and hopefully enjoy the game mode a bit more. Now, if you found this video helpful, guys, a like and subscribe would be greatly appreciated. And yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap up the video. As always, thank you very much for watching, and until the next video, we'll catch you all soon.